big, one small. Some people might be
Alrighty, good morning everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Taylor, nice to meet you. This is the 1 hour boat tour to Navajo Canyon. It's a 1 hour boat tour to Antelope Canyon. No, we're going to Antelope Canyon, I promise. But before I begin my tour, I do have to go over a few things here, just in regards of safety and rules of the boat. Okay, so just a couple of things. We have life jackets beneath the seats. They are for emergencies only, so please leave them as they are. They're not backrests and they're not toys. I've never used them. I don't ever want to use them, but they're there just in case. So stay in the boat. Cool? Now, I've had someone jump off this boat, so please do not be that person. Otherwise, you'll be in very big trouble. Not by me. Man, you don't want to know. Anyway. With that, stay in the boat and also steer the boat. Okay, you can get up and move around, drive the tour. You don't have to stay seated where you're at. You come up to the front here to take pictures or videos, but again, just please remember to share. And also do not sit on my ice chest. Okay, I work here long enough to know how the situation goes, so no fights today either. Okay. Now I do have a trash bin back there in that door, so if you need to toss your trash, you may do so at any time. Beneath us, we're sitting on about 400 feet or 121 meters. So if you drop anything, then it's gone. So be very careful. Now for the tour, I'm taking you guys to Antelope Canyon. It's one of 96 canyons that we have here on this lake. And back there, there's a map of the entire lake. And from one end to the other end of Lake Powell is 186 miles or 300 kilometers. So we're going to see about this much of it today. You have to come back tomorrow to go explore the rest. So good luck. Now today we're going to see the one canyon, Antelope Canyon. It's one of the smaller canyons that we have here on the lake. And it'll take us about 10 minutes to reach the mouth entrance once I leave the breakwater. The walls are going to be pretty wide across, but as we make our way through the canyon, it will gradually get narrower and narrower. So we're going to go back as far as we can, turn around, and come back the exact same way. Okay. Now, here at Lake Powell, this is considered a park. I don't know if anyone knew that. We are in the Glen Canyon recreational area, but it's very similar, same rules pretty much as any park that you would visit. The main difference though between this park and a state park and a national park is that they have designated areas for you to go camping, to go hike, to go picnic. You can do that here, but you just go. That's pretty much it. You just go. You find the area that's most suitable for you, for camping, for hiking, anything. You can boat, swim, fish here on Lake Powell, but this is the most popular way to vacation here, is by taking out one of these houseboats. It's more like glamping though, because you have a kitchen, you have a living room, dining room, bathroom, shower on board, you have potable water, you have generator for heating and cooling, all the things. You just have to be 21 years or older, have a valid ID, and some money.
How much money?
A lot of money. In order to rent out any of these boats. Okay, so yes.
So, do you train the drivers of the boats?
No.
Or you just go?
So we'll kind of give you a crash course on how the boat goes. You know, forward, reverse. If you turn it this way, the boat goes this way. You know. But in the marina, we will drive the boat for you. But as soon as you leave, then you're driving the boat completely on your own. Okay. So now with the boats and the rentals, you have to rent it for a minimum of 3 days. Because it takes about a full day to set up your boat and a full day to break it down and bring the boat back. Because you have to think about getting the people that are going to take along with you, their luggage, the groceries, for the amount of people that are going to be going on the boat and for however long you're going to be on the boat for. And then whatever other things you're going to, yeah, that takes some time getting onto the docks. You might have already, know that. But, and then from there, we'll get the paperwork and everything all situated. And then we'll have the captain or a pilot take you out of the marina on that side. Because if you continue this way, not only is there Antelope Canyon, but it's also the Glen Canyon Dam, and then the Wildwood Marina, and then the Wildwood Bay, but you want to go back. So, with that, for the boats, it can cost anywhere between about $1,500 to $3,200 per day. This is the ballpark range that I have for some of like the older boats. The newer boats, that's a different story. It'll probably be a lot more than that too. So for those boats, yeah, anywhere between like maybe 4 to 5,000 ish for about 3 days. And then for 10 days, it can cost you about 10 to 15. Now we did get new boats this year. I'm not 100% sure on those prices, but if you really want to know, you can go down to our boat rental office on the dock there, and they'll also let you take a tour of the houseboat and let you look inside it. So if that's something you're interested in, you can do that later today. Also, if you would like to go have lunch at the marina, at the restaurant, you show them your ticket. Don't throw your ticket away, because if you show them your ticket for the boat tour, they'll give you 20% off of your meal. Just for coming on this boat tour with me. So,
Alright.
you're welcome. Let's just call it my treat to you guys. But anyways, we also have a mixture of privately owned boats. That's the boats at the very end there that have the names on the back, and then the boats on the other end of the dock. Most of them operate like a timeshare. If you're familiar with it or not, then a timeshare is pretty much just a boat that has multiple owners, or a timeshare is just many people that share a property or space. And so for those boats, one of the private boats can have up to 18 owners. Or I don't know. Does anyone know how many weeks are in the summer? No. I asked the last. I don't know. In the summer, yeah.
12.
12? Oh shoot. Okay. Well, yeah.
Well, it might be more depending.
12 depending.
Yeah.
12 to 14.
Just here, like
Yeah, here,
this,
summer
this-
starts sooner.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense because the good time I think would be like around September, and like last week it was still 80 degrees. This week it's just still whole one. This is normal, by the way. So, September would be good, and also like April, May,
Yeah.
like the last week of April, the first week of May, you're still good. So that would make sense if there's like up to 18 owners. So that's
Yeah.
like 1 week all throughout and different owners come out and switch, and yeah. So, but to be a partial owner, you have to buy into it, the boat, right? Of course.
Of course.
Oh my god, this is so crazy. Because we have a brand new summer set that was placed into the lake this year, and the starting price for that boat was $90,000. And the most expensive, that's the least expensive week, and then the most expensive week is $159,000. And that's just for 1 week, but you're partial owner, so yeah, I guess it makes sense. It's a summer set. But for the Adonias that we have, those ones definitely be way up there. But we'll come back and talk about that once we return. I'm going to talk more about the water though once we get to the canyon. From here, I'm just going to speed the boat up, and then we'll be at the canyon in about 10 minutes. As we get around the corner, you're going to notice our boat ramp that's going to be on this port side of the boat. The last time we were using this boat ramp was October of 2020, okay? And you'll see why in just a second. But that's all for now. Okay, bye. Antelope Canyon. If we continued further that way, that would have taken us to the Glen Canyon Dam. And that's what's holding back this water that we're floating on now. So Lake Powell is a man-made lake, an artificial lake, or reservoir, all the same thing. So Lake Powell was created because of the dam. Right here was the Colorado River, and back here, this was still Antelope Canyon, but it was completely dry. Okay, so the dam was commissioned back in 1956. Took about 10 years to complete. The lake started though in 1963, so that's just the year they started to hold back the excess flow of the Colorado River. So they still released water through the dam to send water downstream to like Lake Mead and Lake Havasu, but we just held back the extra amount. And it took 17 years to get to the white line, meeting the red line that's out there on the wall. So that's the high water line of Lake Powell. And the last time we were there was in 1999, and we're currently down 155 feet, or about 47 meters from that water line. Okay, so for the most part, we couldn't see anything, of course, that way because those canyon walls would have been completely submerged underwater. This wall, sorry. So this canyon wall right beside us here, this would have been completely submerged. Boaters used to drive over this when the lake was at the maximum level, and most of this canyon here was completely submerged. We wouldn't be able to see the high water line, at least not, or like the water line, until we get to the turnaround point of the tour, which will be one of my favorite parts. So I'll help you guys take pictures back there, but we have to make it quick and easy because I have to do a turnaround really quick. But this canyon has a speed limit of 5 miles per hour, or the Wakeless speed, and this is due to the popularity of kayaking and paddleboarding, which has increased with popularity within the past 10 to 15 years. So sometimes in the summer, we can see up to 1,000 paddlers in the canyon.
Wow.
And it's pretty crazy in a day. So on top of that, we also have private boaters, rental boaters, our tour boat, jet skiers also venturing through the canyon as well. So yeah, it gets a little crowded, a little crazy sometimes. And no, I have not ever run over a kayaker before. Have they hit me? Yeah. I don't know if you can.
We need a try harder.
No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, we're going to continue into the canyon here. The depth of the water is going to decrease from this point. Eventually the water comes to an end. So this is why Antelope Canyon, or paddling back here, is very popular, because most paddlers, once they get to the back of the canyon, they'll go for a short hike, and along their way they'll go for a swim and cliff jump or have lunch, just all the things. I don't think anyone will be cliff jumping today. Well, there was people swimming yesterday, but the air temperature is too cold, I think, to want to be in the water right now. Then have to deal with drying afterwards. But the gal that was in the water said the water was really warm. So, I wouldn't be surprised though, because the air temperature is just 180. Last week it was in the 80s, and now it's like going to be the 60s this coming week. So, but I love this temperature. But you guys will come up to the front, take pictures and videos. Just please remember to rotate and share. Don't come up all at once. That's good. That's where we were at in May. Beginning of May. So as we're making our way to the back of the canyon, so this is the bottom end of the Antelope Canyon system, right? So eventually the water will come to an end. If you follow the canyon for several miles, you'd eventually reach the lower canyon hiking trail. And even when the water level was at the maximum level, it never flooded the lower canyon, but it was very close. Okay, probably like a couple hundred yards, maybe even less. And then you were at the lower canyon. But now I think we're about 4 to 5 miles away from where it's at right now. Well, as far as where we're at in the canyon. But if you continue past that, then you'd reach the upper canyon. So this is all one canyon system. And the reason why they call this Antelope Canyon is because before this was Lake Powell, before any of this was here, there was animals that look similar to the antelope. It was not antelope. It was called pronghorn deer, and they used to use the canyon to get down to the river, and then also cross the river, and then go hibernate on what we call Antelope Island. So there were antelope here, but then the lake came about, and then they had to relocate them to just outside of Flagstaff, Arizona. So you won't see them today. Coloration on the rocks is all calcium, and that's what gave us the high water line and also set the boundary for the park. It's a thin surface coat of calcium, and it does come off naturally with erosion from the wind as well as the rain. And what's pretty cool about the rain is when we have these monsoon storms, which there was a huge storm that passed through on Thursday and Friday, mostly Thursday, and I was off that day, so it was nice to be at home. But I kind of also wish I was on the water, because there was these huge waterfalls that were running off the side of the canyon tunnels. The captain that was working that day was able to capture a video. They were so crazy, and I've never seen anything like that before. But there was so much water or rain coming down, it flooded the area, and there's surrounding areas that have received like way more water and have flooded and damaged like their vehicles or sometimes their homes as well. So you have to be very careful too. And for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I believe, the lower Antelope Canyon hiking tours, they canceled their trips. I don't know if it was Thursday, but I know for sure Saturday and Sunday. Because when all of this water passes through, it'll flood upper and lower canyon, and all of that water would end up here. And it'll bring down sand, sediment, and debris. But sometimes not all of the water from the lower canyon will make it out. So there's just big old pools of water left behind that can be so many feet deep. And these workers still have to go to work because they have to go and bucket out all of that water. That's pretty much the only way they can do that at the moment. They do have like pumps, but the pumps only go so far, so yeah, that was, and I can only imagine, because that rain, the waterfalls here, it was so cool, but yeah, this is from the rain. All of this like brown stuff in the water is the sediment from and then do you guys notice that you on your way down in the park there's like brown stuff and trash? That's all from the flashlight. All of that just like washed down into the water. Now in the water we do have several different species of fish. You can fish for them as long as you have a license for the state of Arizona or Utah, because 5% of the lake is here in Arizona and the other 95% is in Utah. But we have striped bass, large and smallmouth, walleye, humpback crab, bluegill, sunfish, catfish, carp, and the largest fish on record is a 48-pound striped bass. And I caught that fish. But he's pretty cool though. Most of these fish are non-native and were placed in by Park Service back in the 70s. So when the lake was, around the time the lake was filling up. So our native fish would be the humpback chub, the bony-tailed chub, and the razorback sucker. But that's all I know about those fish. water level was still would have been to the very top of the canyon walls here. So even now, maybe even over them. But around this corner here, there's going to be a ledge like straight off that lake. And this was a local swimming area for many people that grew up here throughout the 80s and the 90s. Because Antelope Marina did not open until 2004. So in order to go swimming here, you could either drive across Page, across the dam, and go over to Wallway Marina, but that was kind of far. So most people would just, and I think you still have to like pay the fee to get into. But so most people would just come to like the red side and get on these dirt roads, and that would lead them to areas like this here in the canyon. But the water was only a few feet beneath the canyon wall, so it wasn't crazy low as it is now. So our marina is very unique because up on top on this side of the canyon wall is all tribal land. Everything on top of the high water. So everything at the marina, like where the parking lot is, the RV park, the service building, that's all on tribal land. So our marina is technically owned by the tribe, but we lease it to the owner who invested his money to go and build everything. And so it's technically a private concessionaire, but you can't have that on public lands, like federal government land. But because of that little loophole, he was able to fund and have the marina built. And one of the deals that they made though with the owner and the tribal government is that he would offer jobs firsthand to the native people. So it's not a preference, but not specifically just Navajo people that can work there. But yeah, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, it was just some billionaire trucker who liked to come to Lake Powell too, and he was like, oh, let me just put my money there. So
What is his name?
his name is Jerry Moise. He owns the
Swift
Swift Trucking. Yeah.
There is a Swift man.
Yep. Yep.
No, a secret.
Yeah, but he lives down in Phoenix, and then he'll come up during like holiday weekends, and then also we host one of our events here called the Lake Powell Challenge. So on Lake Powell there is like a speed limit in the marinas, of course, and obviously, but sometimes some people don't know that. But also in canyons like this one has a speed limit, and then there's 2 more canyons. But other than that, the other 95 canyons, no speed limit. And you can go how fast?
95 canyons total on the lake.
96.
96 through
It's only 3
Utah and
canyons.
Arizona.
Huh?
There's only one
There's only 3 canyons that have speed limit.
out of the 95.
Yeah, out of the 96.
I'm sorry, 96.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, it's pretty crazy. So the Lake Powell Challenge is just pretty much when all of these cigarette butts come out to Lake Powell or to the marina, and it's a fundraising event. So, and they do like a poker run. So they race up lake and they pick up their poker cards, and then they come back and do whatever rich people do. I don't know. So yeah, it's pretty cool though because you see all these boats go race up lake, and it's cool. But then when you're around them and their motors are going, you can barely hear yourself think. So. But yeah, this year we were closed for that event because we were playing like hide and seek with our guests to like try to find the poor. In 2023, the last time I did it with my cousin, where we went pretty far back, was in 2019. The water was further back into the canyon, about maybe 1 to 2 miles further. Because water was almost 60, 70 feet higher from where it's at right now.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
So definitely the water on the lake looked a lot different than what it looks like now. Although we had smaller canyon walls, we could go way much further back into the canyon, which I personally like about it. And to the point where like the back of the canyon, also it was so narrow you couldn't even fit a kayak in the back there. We had to get out of the kayaks and put everything onto one kayak, and then tilt the kayak to the side and then shimmy it through the canyon.
Oh my God.
And then we had to go and catch the other kayak because it started floating away. And then we got all of our paddles and all of our ice chests and lunch and everything put on the other kayak. And then shimmy that kayak. So we were on 2 single kayaks.
So if you want to kayak do you rent from the Antelope Marina, or what? How do you
Either
what's
one.
the kayak thing?
Rent from the marina or from the boat ramp. There's companies that set up there, and they'll offer to go, let you go with a guide or without. But I say,
Right. And they'll just like help you launch and everything and bring the boats and all that.
yeah. So they'll have their kayaks waiting because now the water's low. In the morning, the guides will go ahead and put the kayaks along the shore. So you just walk down with your paddle and then get in the water and go. Yeah. Oh, of course, when the water's higher, it's a lot easier to like launch your kayak up into the water. Yeah, I would come back in like a couple of years. When
For
the
the
water's
kayaking.
higher. Yeah, hopefully the water's higher.
What's the minimum level you right now? It's at what?
Well, right now, this is about the lowest I've seen the lake. It was about 20 feet lower from where it's at right now. The end of the straightaway there is where the water used to end. But now it's kind of like around the corner. There's two corners, but just around the corners there's no more water. So we were less than a quarter mile away from where the water like ends. So yeah, I think we will be back at that record low again here in a couple of months. We've already dropped down around like 10 feet. Well, maybe be just a couple of feet above it, the record low. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Because all of the water here is part of the Colorado River system and how the water is used and it's managed. So we use water for hydropower, drinking water, as well as for agriculture and irrigation. This is spread among 7 states, but also benefiting some of the country as well through produce that's grown from Southern California, which will send most of this water to that area so they can use the water to grow crops and produce. But the 7 states will use the water for hydropower and drinking water. About 40 million people rely on our dams built along the Colorado and its tributaries to generate their power all year round, every day. So we're constantly releasing water, but just in the springtime we're receiving more water into the lake than what's being let out. So, but yeah, and then the water will of course be canaled over to cities and whatnot, and also canaled over to California, so they can use the water for the agriculture. But yeah, so with the water level where it's at now, it's getting low again. So we'll see how those conversations are going to go because the 7 states have to decide. Because when the lake was at its record low, they had to decide on who was going to cut back and how much they were going to cut back and all of that good stuff. And no one really wanted to. There was a lot of pushback. So yeah,
No one ever wants to reduce what they can use.
I know. Yeah, I know. It's so crazy. A lot of people had to move from grass lawns to native plants here in the desert. And of course cut back on like overusage, I guess, because most families were given, the amount they needed for human survival, right? To cook with, to clean, for personal hygiene and all of that. But if you went above that amount, because also there's a lot of pools in the area too. And if you had to go and refill that or whatever, and you went above that amount that you were given, then you would receive a fine in the mail. But some people, were able to afford that. Yeah. But I don't know.
Still wrong.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, that was funny because that year we were like a lot of people had some good solutions and over who knows how long for it to turn the shape up. But and then one of my favorite canyons I like to visit. I'm so ashamed because I have not rented out a boat this year. Last year we took it out maybe almost 10 times I took a boat out, and I would take my friends out. And my favorite places to go is about an hour boat ride the opposite way going up lake to a place called Face Canyon. That canyon has a side canyon. The side canyon is so narrow you can't even fit a boat, not even a kayak back there. So it was great because you didn't have to worry about like jet skiers or anyone else really going in there. So I would usually just be the one staying on the boat and then like just watching it. And then my friends would go and swim off into the canyon. And they were gone for quite a while because the water went back pretty far into that canyon. And it was when I first went there though, my friends and I we were back there, and one of my friends was like on the wall, and he was like very close to like either side. So it was like kind of fun. It was so funny. But yeah, and then some of these canyons also have side canyons like that don't have water, so you have like a slot canyon. So that one there's one in West Canyon that I wanted to go to. I went there this summer for like a taxi drop off that we did. So when I went up, I noticed there was a bunch of like slot canyon like little crevices on the side. So I wanted to go and explore there. I think this time would be a good time to go, even though it's like a little chilly, but the air temperature is still really warm now. And otherwise you'd be hiking in like 110 degrees weather. Not cute.
What's Rainbow Bridge?
The Rainbow Bridge is about 50 miles up lake, and that takes about a 6-hour round trip boat ride just to get to. It's a national monument. It's also the largest natural arch bridge in the world. It's about 300 feet tall and 300 feet across. It takes about 6 hours because it takes 2 hours to boat up and then that 2 hours to go back. Those 1 to 2 hours would be from you hiking to the bridge and then back to your boat. And right now, like it's still accessible, but you have to be very careful about when you're docking. Because Park Service took out the docks that they had out there early in September, and so you can still go there, but you just can have trouble parking your boat somewhere safely. And yeah, right now it's about a mile and a half to hike over to the bridge one way, and then the mile, so about 3 miles.
Do you usually go to like out to Rainbow Bridge right now?
No, just the private charters are doing that right now because those are the only boats that are have enough fuel and can get you there and back. Like this boat, we got 40 gallons here. We're not that. The speedboats, with our private charter boats, we have Cobalts and Chaparrals, and then we have Nautis. But those boats they're fine. They can get you there and back. But that's pretty much all you can do with those boats is just go up there and they come straight. We wouldn't be able to go on any side quests or anything. So, yeah.
So when you rent a houseboat, how do you manage the gas station?
So that there's all of these numbers and things on the boats. So you just kind of have to launch that yourself because you want to be running the generators at 7. Most people at night you might want to turn it on, but most people just turn it on and they'll just like track like everything on the system. Oh yeah, you'd be like that guy right there. Yeah, so most part you just see like how much gas you use on your way up, and then make sure you have enough on your way back down. But yeah,
But
most,
even if you rented a houseboat for 5 days,
oh yeah, no, that's
how
fine.
were you getting your gas during the 5
So
days?
the houseboats they have enough food to last you. Yeah,
Oh, for 5 days.
for more than 5 days, more than 7
Oh,
days.
got it.
Yeah, 'cause they have like 75 gallons. So that's what I said, like, because it also comes down to the people that you're gonna have, who's all gonna be using, the generator for what, cooking, and how much food you're gonna be cooking. But sometimes like you can just, have a meal and use the grill and not have to use the generator. And then, yeah, then with the generator, you can run it for the heating or the cooling. And sometimes people take the houseboats out during the winter, or they'll use it as like a motel in the winter time. So, but for the summer, of course, you're gonna be wanting to run your AC. But for the most designated power. Yeah. Yeah. So, and also you don't want to be swimming in the back because of like the CO2 out there. So, I remember this from when I was kids too, 'cause they're like, you can't go back there. And I'm like, oh. I didn't understand, but now I do. Oh, that makes sense.
Yes. Got the airport behind it.
We have like our little reading time and you can oversee like the lake. breakwater here afloat. So this is just recycled tires from like tractors and whatnot. We used to have a coal mine power plant here, but it was demolished back in 2020. And so our main buyer was California, but they switched over to clean energy, so then no one else wanted to buy it, so it just went away. It's kind of sad because it supplied jobs for a lot of like the Navajo people. Because that was the main thing, the power plant and also tourism. Now we just rely on you guys to visit. So keep coming back, guys. But anyways, through that same system with the winch and the wire or the cables attached to the canyon wall, is how we keep everything at our marina all floating. So there's cable wirings on either side of the canyon wall, and there's several winches set up throughout the marina. And so everything there is adjustable with the water level, so it can come up or down whenever we need it. And with the restaurant being there, it makes it the largest floating restaurant in the United States. So
Cool.
yeah, pretty cool. And again, take your ticket to the restaurant and they'll give you 20% off your meal.
You got shares in it, though.
Is it open at night or it's just a day thing?
It's open at night too, in the evening, so you can come back for dinner. So, and the car service runs all night too, pretty much. So they're there, just ready for whenever you're ready to go. And then it's crazy. This boat here on the right side of the dock, that boat has no rooms because the family that owns that boat only take that boat out whenever they want to go have lunch on the beach or on the lake, just wherever, just dining tables all on that boat. Yeah, like of course, like the fridge or no, the fridge, yeah, the fridge and the bathroom, but there's no rooms on that boat.
It's a day boat.
And then yeah, and then the rest of them they all have rooms and whatnot. Excellence, that boat right there, that's the new Somerset that was placed into Lake Powell this year. And the starting price for that boat is again going for $90,000 to be a partial owner for 1 week out of the year. And then I believe it has 5 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms on it. And then the most expensive week is going for $159,000. Because some weeks are popular than others
Well, sure.
for the weather or just
Days.
yeah, the holiday weekends too. So crazy. But that's nothing because our largest boat that we have on Lake Powell is about 5 stories tall. It has a helicopter pad on the very top. It has 10 master bedrooms, 6 master bathrooms, 3 full-size kitchens, and the 3rd floor of that boat has a movie theater because why not? So,
Well, yeah.
and that
why not?
boat was sold this year for about $6 million only because when the previous owners that initially built the boat, it was worth about $12 million. So it was the most expensive boat on Lake Powell for a hot minute. But that one's on the very end of the dock over there. So they're a part of the 10% of boat owners that have the one owner for the boat. But I don't know who owns it now. I don't know. I just know the boat now is called Amia. But the previous owners owned the Night Trucking Transportation. And
What are we doing wrong?
I know. I should have went into trucking. No. So this is all federal government land, right? So you can't live here permanently. Yeah. But again, with a marina, it's so crazy because it's a private concessionaire, but you can't have that either. And again, the loophole with it being prevalent is up there. Crazy.
So you've seen 90% of boats are.
Yeah. One of them, yeah. And these people, they live nearby. Most of them down in like Phoenix or Tucson, or sometimes in like coming from Colorado or New Mexico. Very rarely, because some people will put their like state flags on their boats. I've only seen like a New Mexico flag at like once or twice, but mostly from Utah. Yeah. So. And then we have our smaller boats there. Those little speedboats just got put in, and I wanted to rent one of those boats out this year because it's so cute and it's so tiny. And then we have our pontoon boats, the jet skis, and our kayaks. And then these ones are cool because these are like party barges, pretty much similar to a houseboat, just without the rooms. They have like a little open kitchen area. It's kind of small though. But that boat is one that I would take into Navajo Canyon, which I did this year for my mom's birthday, which is pretty awesome. So there's just like a bunch of us. I don't even know how many people were on that boat. But we also brought our own little grill, and then we just like docked it in the back of the Navajo Canyon, and then we just had steaks and yeah, And then that ramp up there too that separated, that was the original cart service ramp. So the water's just been too low, okay? So how much as water fluctuates with, providing power and whatnot, there just hasn't been enough water during the fill season to meet that demand. So, yeah, and what you would do though is you would walk down from the top, and then you would catch a ride with car service back there. So, well, you have to go to car service. So I'm gonna call for everyone here, but if you're gonna go up later, I'll show you where you can